Welcome to this online service of Neshoba Church. My name is Chrysti Hogan. I'm a member of Neshoba and as of last Wednesday, the president of the board. I'm so very glad that you are joining us virtually and hope that you will return next week when our minister, Reverend Beth Lefevre, will be back with us. In addition to the regular service, we are kicking off our annual pledge campaign this week. We were supposed to hold this back in March and April, but that plan was put on hold while we figured out how the shutdown would affect our church community. A member of the Stewardship Committee has some words to share with us now. Our Chalice Lighting and affirmation this morning will be offered by David Cooke, followed by Vanessa Adams, telling the story for all ages.
Welcome to Neshoba's 2020 Vision, this year's Stewardship Campaign. My name is Jeanne Ortmann, and I am a member of the Stewardship Committee. We are aware that this year has presented some financial challenges for some people, but before the pandemic closed our doors, we felt that there was a lot of support and energy in our congregation. The challenge of being apart and trying to keep that energy up is difficult, but we have faced difficult times in the past. We have overcome those difficulties and we will again. Many of us consider Neshoba our family, and as in our personal families, we need to ensure that our family has what it needs to survive and to thrive. Neshoba is important to me because of the connection I feel to its people and its mission. Although we are physically separated, I am still a part of the church, and I hope that you feel that way as well. Although we are getting started later than we had originally planned, we are now kicking off our pledge campaign to coincide with the new church fiscal year. We are hopeful that through your generosity in these hard times, it will be just as successful as we originally expected. One measure of success will be for everyone to respond to the pledge campaign. Any and all amounts are welcome. Please consider what you and your family can contribute and return the forms that have been sent as soon as you can.
Let us light our chalices. For this moment, I've chosen words by Starhawk, titled, Community Means Strength. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere, a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free. Please join me in affirming our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. Yesterday, America celebrated July 4th, Independence Day. And one of the wonderful things about America is what a great melting pot we are. How many different cultures, beliefs, ethnicities, races, all different things are represented in our country. So today I want to read to you We Came to America by Faith Ringgold. The dedication says, We Came to America is dedicated to all the children who came to America. May they find peace, freedom, and prosperity in their new home. May we welcome them and inspire them to sustain a love and dedication to peace, freedom, and justice for all. We came to America, every color, race, and religion. From every country in the world, some of us were already here before the others came. And some of us were brought in chains, losing our freedom and our names. We came to America, every color, race, and religion, from every country in the world. We traveled from our birthplace by boat and by plane. Some of us came running from injustice, fear, and pain. We came to America, every color, race, and religion, from every country in the world. We brought along our joyful songs, our stories wise and true. Our music colored the air, beautiful sounds and patterns everywhere. Our joyful dance now freed our pain, gently like soothing rain. Our food, our fashion, and our art made America great. We came to America, every color, race, and religion, from every country in the world. In spite of where we came from, or how or why we came, we are all Americans, just the same. The end.
If you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you are concerned for its future, share its message. If its values resonate deep within you, give it a measure of your devotion. This church cannot survive without your faith, your confidence, your enthusiasm. Its destiny, the larger hope, rests in your hands. If you are proud of this church, become its advocate by donating via one of the methods on the graphic. Please know that we are grateful for any support you can give. My first reading is from Lessons from the Geese by Robert McNeish. As geese flap their wings, they create an uplift for the bird following. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds 71% greater flying range than if any bird were to fly alone. If we share a common direction and a sense of community, We can get where we are going more quickly and easily because we are traveling on the thrust of one another. Whenever a goose falls out of formation, it suddenly feels the drag and resistance of trying to fly alone and quickly gets back into formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the bird immediately in front. If we have as much sense as geese, we will stay in formation with those who are headed where we want to go, and we will be willing to accept their help as well as give ours to others. When the lead goose gets tired, it rotates back into formation and another goose flies at the point position. If we take turns doing the hard tasks and sharing leadership, as with the geese, we become interdependent with one another. The geese in formation honk from behind to encourage those up front to keep up their speed. If we honk, we need to make sure it is positive and encouraging. When a goose gets sick or wounded or is shot down, 2 geese drop out of formation and follow it down to protect it. They stay with it until it is able to fly again or dies. They then launch out on their own with another formation or catch up with the flock. If we have as much sense as geese, we too will stand by each other in difficult times, as well as when we are strong. Let us all try to fly in formation and remember to drop back to help those who need it. My second reading is an essay titled Honk If You Love by Lindasusan Ulrich. Driving along a commercial corridor near my house, I noticed that one of the used car dealerships had changed the message on its sign. Instead of touting a holiday sale or good financing rates, the block letters read, Honk If You Love. I was thoroughly delighted. I remembered how encouraging it felt whenever drivers beeped their support as they passed a demonstration or protest march I was a part of. It felt like this message addressed those actions' deeper motivation, love for our fellow beings, which sits at the core of all social justice work. I imagined cars whizzing past this roadside pulpit of sorts, people smiling as they tooted their horn on behalf of humanity. Cue the abrupt record scratch. As I drew closer to the sign, I noticed that under the word love was an American flag, previously indistinguishable. Apparently, boisterous love was reserved only for the United States. Suddenly, the acknowledgement of our wide and profound connectedness had been reduced to affection for one narrow sliver of the human population. I felt diminished. I'm better off taking my cue from Canada geese than used car dealers. When geese fly much further as a group than they ever could alone. When a goose has been injured, 2 or 3 others stay with it on the ground until it recuperates. And as the skein migrates, they honk to remind their fellow birds that they're nearby, ready to help, encouraging each other through the long hours of flight. If we have as much sense as geese, as Dr. Robert McNeish wrote, then our hearts must be moved by more than parochial interests. If we hope to foster a more compassionate world, we must practice caring for one another with joy and over long distances. If justice is to be realized, then our voices must speak loudly, even boisterously, of love. Yesterday was the 4th of July, that wonderful, completely American holiday that brings to mind parades, flags, picnics with potato salad, watermelon, and corn on the cob, surrounded by family, neighbors, and friends. And when the sun goes down, exploding fireworks to the tune of oohs and ahs. Many of my childhood summers were spent at the beach, so for me, it also brings to mind the smell of coconut suntan oil and the feel of gritty sand between my toes. This year might feel a little different as we celebrate in socially distant ways, but the memories of years past still evoke wonderful feelings. The holiday began, of course, as a celebration of our country's declaration of independence from England. Over the years, though, I think it has become more than that. It is a celebration, an iconic symbol, really, of all that we tend to love about living in America. Over the past couple of centuries, our country has fought hard for its freedoms. Of course, this includes our military, who have battled enemies in the name of freedom. But it also includes people just fighting to do the right thing. People like Rosa Parks, Harvey Milk, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Greta Thunberg, and Naomi Klein, the Ware lecturer from last week's GA. The 4th of July is a celebration of these people and many more. It is also about family, both those we are born into and those we choose. It is about community, our church, our country, our world. It's about freedom, our freedom, the freedom that many of us, especially those of us living in the United States of America, enjoy each and every day. The freedom that the generations before us worked so tirelessly to achieve. We need to continue to fight for the freedom necessary for those in marginalized groups, our siblings who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, our trans and other LGBTQ siblings, and those with disabilities, to live lives that matter. Many Americans live a privileged life. That is not to say we live a perfect life. There are still many inequities, many obstacles for the underprivileged, even in this great country. Poverty begets poverty. Members of our community are still discriminated against. Those who are different are not always treated equally. But even those with challenges to face are privileged to live in this country where the Bill of Rights gives us certain freedoms. Freedom to choose a religion, and freedom to gather and protest. Freedom from unmitigated search and seizure, and freedom from cruel and unusual punishment. We are free to vote for our representatives, both locally and nationally, although that right came later for some. And we are free to voice our disagreement with those we have put in office. These freedoms come to us through the work and sacrifices of those who came before us. The Founding Fathers took a huge risk to declare independence from England. They wrote a constitution that created a new country with new rules and new freedoms. But with freedom comes responsibility. The 4th principle of Unitarian Universalism even joins these two ideas. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. A free and responsible search. Freedom means we have a choice. Responsibility means making a good choice. There's a saying that we hear often in UU churches. We drink from wells we did not dig. We usually hear this phrase, sometimes as part of a longer reading, right before the offering plate is passed. Those who quote it generally hope you will feel compelled to contribute because you are sitting in a church built by the contributions of those who came before. As we search for our own truth and meaning, we are digging wells for ourselves. We are forging paths for future generations to explore and decide whether to follow. But we need to make sure we are digging those wells responsibly. Whatever our truth is, whatever we believe, we need to be responsible in how we approach it. We need to follow our hearts, listen to our heads, and be willing to learn from our experience and from our fellow travelers. A responsible search involves considering a variety of perspectives, remaining open to the value of different sources before coming to our own conclusions and digging our wells. For those of us still working on our wells, we need to honor those who began the digging and respect those who will come after. My spiritual journey led me to begin digging my well here at Neshoba. I have found a community that helps me dig by sharing their experiences and visions of truth. Although I have found the freedom to explore my beliefs, I accept the responsibility for that search and for where I go from here. The idea of drinking wells we did not dig is that we benefit from the actions of those who came before us, so let our actions benefit those who come after us. And by actions, of course, we often mean financial support. I got to thinking about the idea of benefiting from the actions of others and realized it's not just about money. We are finally kicking off the annual stewardship campaign, so of course I'm thinking about how I want to support Neshoba. On this weekend, celebrating the 4th of July, I would offer the suggestion that we celebrate the 4th principle as well. We should celebrate freedom and responsibility. In our affirmation, recited each week, we include the idea that service is our prayer. I think we mostly perceive this to be about service to the community, which it is. But I think it is about service to others, including our church community. Stewardship means financial support, but it also means doing the work of the church. serving the church by helping, being on a committee, offering to be a part of worship, stepping up when the call is put out for volunteers. That is one reason I wanted to serve as your board president. So I challenge you, as you consider your pledge to the stewardship campaign, to have the freedom to make a choice and the responsibility to make a good choice. While you are deciding how much money to pledge, also decide what time and what skills you can donate. How can you support the church? How can you help dig wells for those who will come after? Amen. Excellent. If you'll please join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer as I read words by Maureen Killoran. Spirit of life and love, I come before you, black and brown and red and yellow and alabaster. I come longing for the simpler days that truly never were our lot, and I am an American. Hear these voices as in the complexity of our days. I am humanist and Christian, Muslim and Jew, pagan and atheist, and Buddhist and UU, and I am an American. I am one who fought for my country, and I am at the same time one who protested war, and I am an American. Amongst the divisions of our days, I've struggled in poverty, and I've accepted the profits of wealth, and I am an American. I am an owner of weapons, and I am one who would control our nation's guns by limiting the who's and what's and how's, and I am an American. As light is shown on our divisions, I live with often unacknowledged privilege, and I am moved to rage at the complexity of intersecting oppressions, and I am an American. In the challenge of our days, I am one who supports my country right or wrong, and I am one who claims the traditions of dissent, and I am an American. In this polarized season, I am Democrat, and I am Republican, I am Libertarian, and I am Independent, I am Green, and I am confused, and I am an American. Spirit of hope, sit with us in our diversities. Help us hear one another in our divisions. Grant that, beginning in this community, we may honor one another's truths and know that a just and faithful tomorrow begins here in our hearts. For with all our problems, with all our pain, with all our limitations and mistakes, we are Americans. As we face the week ahead, may our lives be blessed, and may we be a blessing to those around us. Go in peace. Amen, and blessed be.
To Hello, everyone. Wow, how is it that I get to follow that great service from GA last week? As was so eloquently said last Sunday, liberation is costly and compelling. And here in Memphis, we have Micah, a great mechanism for helping to make a track through injustice to the river and to build a bridge to liberation for our neighbors who haven't yet received it. Because Memphis was and is mired in poverty and justice and equity, 3.5 years ago, our Reverend Beth and 12 other ministers met with the leader of Gamaliel. It's the community organizing group that President Obama was part of, and Micah was born. To date, 60 organizations representing 30,000 people have become part of the effort. We began working to set right the criminal justice system, the education system, and monetary policy. We met with political leaders and formed coalitions with groups already working in those areas. We held public meetings that most of you attended to secure the assurances of change from public officials. On July 16 at 8:46 a.m., we stood as a group in honor of George Floyd and presented our Justice and Equity Charter. We nailed that proclamation to the door of City Hall. Reverend Beth, Chip, David, Sarah, and Bruce were there along with many of us in spirit. Currently, we are collaborating with education groups to improve the schools in underserved areas. We are lobbying the county commissioners and city council for funding for MATA. We are asking the mayors and police officials to improve police training and procedures and to become more transparent to the public. We are working with mayors and detention officials to make re-entry for detainees more viable and fair. We are following the efforts of housing officials to integrate the former foot home residents into the new facilities. And we are watching to make sure that policies for lending money are designed to include those who are the least of us as well. You can be part of building that bridge to justice. Micah meets every second Tuesday at 7 and every fourth Monday at 6. Please join us.